427 times. That's how many times you've asked God to take this away. Morning prayers begging for purity. Nighttime confessions filled with regret and promises to do better. You've wept, you've fasted, you've pleaded with everything you knew. But when you wake up the next morning, it's still there. The temptation, the battle, the same cycle starting all over again, and you're beginning to question everything. Does prayer even work? Is God listening? Are you doing something wrong? Or maybe you're just broken to be fixed. But here's a truth that might shock you. God hears every prayer you've prayed, and He's choosing not to remove your lust. Not because He doesn't care about you, but because of what He's actually accomplishing in you. Let me show you something most people never understand about prayer and sexual temptation. The misconception about prayer. You think prayer should eliminate the desire, erase the temptation, and set you free without any struggle. But that's not how biblical transformation works. That's spiritual passivity. God absolutely has the power to remove your lust instantly. He could do it right now, but He's deliberately choosing not to. Before you feel abandoned, consider this. When God doesn't answer your prayer the way you expect, He's answering it in the way you actually need. Your prayer isn't failing. It's working just differently than you imagined. I'm going to reveal 7 biblical reasons why God won't remove your lust through prayer alone, and what He's actually building in you through the battle you keep begging Him to end. Reason 1. God is building authority, not removing the battle. You're praying for a rescue. God is training a warrior. You want the enemy gone. God wants you equipped to defeat him. There's a crucial difference. Jesus said in Luke 10:19, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Notice He didn't say, I've cleared all danger from your path. He gave you power over the danger. If God granted your request exactly as you asked, you'd never develop spiritual strength. You'd become dependent on divine intervention for every battle. But God isn't raising dependent children who need constant saving. He's raising mature sons and daughters who know how to stand and fight. That's why your prayer doesn't stop lust. It's not meant to. It's developing something more valuable, the authority to overcome it. And authority only comes through victory in battle, not through the absence of battle. Reason 2. God is teaching you to fight. You keep asking God to remove the enemy, but what happens when temptation returns tomorrow? You'll need another rescue, and another, and another. You'll spend your entire life waiting for crisis intervention instead of learning spiritual warfare. James 4:7 says, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. It doesn't say, ask God to resist the devil while you watch. You resist, you fight, you engage. Every single time you resist lust and choose obedience, you're not just winning that moment. You're conditioning yourself for the next battle. You're building spiritual reflexes that respond with no before your body even registers the temptation. God isn't answering your prayer to remove lust because He's answering a deeper prayer you didn't even know you were praying. Make me strong enough to stand on my own. Strength doesn't come from never being tested. It comes from being tested and refusing to break. Your unanswered prayer isn't rejection. It's boot camp. Reason 3. God won't remove what He's using to shape you. Romans 5:3-4 tells us, suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Your battle with lust isn't random. It's intentional. God is using the very thing you despise to forge the very qualities you need. Character isn't formed in comfort. It's hammered out in conflict. Every time you face temptation and choose God over your flesh, something profound happens inside you. Patience grows. Self-control strengthens. Humility deepens. Your dependence on Him intensifies. If God removed your lust today, you'd gain freedom, but remain immature. You'd miss the character development that only comes through endurance. God loves you too much to give you freedom at the expense of Christ-likeness. The battle you're in right now is a refining fire, and God won't extinguish it because He's not finished refining you. Your prayer to stop lust is being answered not through removal, but through transformation. Reason 4. Instant deliverance would end your daily dependence. Think carefully about this. When you're not struggling, how often do you really pray? When life is comfortable, how desperate are you for God's presence? Most believers only cry out in crisis. God knows that your lust battle keeps you coming to Him. It keeps you dependent. It keeps you on your knees every morning saying, God, I cannot do this without you. And that desperation That's intimacy. In 2 Corinthians 12-9, God says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul begged God 3 times to remove his thorn in the flesh. God said no, not because he didn't love Paul, but because Paul's weakness kept him dependent on God's strength. If God answered your prayer to remove lust, you'd lose the daily intimacy that struggle creates. You'd become self-sufficient, you'd grow strong in yourself. And spiritual pride would destroy what freedom never could. God isn't withholding deliverance, he's protecting intimacy. Sometimes the thorn remains, because the closeness it creates is worth more than the comfort you're requesting. Reason 5, prayer changes your heart, not just your circumstances. You think prayer's purpose is to change your situation. But Romans 12:2 says, we're to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Prayer isn't just about getting what you ask for. It's about becoming who God is calling you to be. Every morning you pray, "Take away my lust." God is actually addressing your pride, your self-reliance, your belief that you can manage this through willpower alone. He's teaching you that you can't. And that revelation, that's the real deliverance. The prayer isn't failing, it's revealing. It's exposing where you're still trying to control sin instead of surrendering it. When you finally stop asking God to end the battle and start asking Him to sustain you through it, everything shifts. Your lust might not vanish overnight, but you'll change. And when you change, your response to lust changes. When your response changes, lust loses its power. That's what God is doing, while you think He's ignoring you. Reason 6, God is preparing you to help others. 2 Corinthians 1:2-4 says, God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Your struggle isn't only about you. It's about everyone you'll eventually help. If God delivered you instantly, you'd have a testimony of deliverance, but no one could relate to you. You couldn't help the man who's been fighting for a decade, because you never fought. You couldn't speak to the shame, the relapses, the exhaustion because you never experienced them. But when you walk through this battle and emerge on the other side still standing, still faithful, still trusting God despite the war, you become powerful, because now you have authority to speak into someone else's struggle. God isn't keeping you in the fight to punish you. He's keeping you in it to prepare you. Your future ministry is being written in your current battle. The longer you endure, the more people you'll be equipped to reach. Reason 7. What you're asking for isn't what you actually need. God doesn't always give you what you ask for, because what you're asking for isn't what you truly need. You're asking for freedom from lust. God is giving you dependence on Him, and dependence is better, because freedom without dependence leads to pride. But dependence with struggle leads to humility, and humility keeps you close to Him. Jesus said in John 15:5, apart from me, you can do nothing. Not apart from me, you will struggle. Apart from Him, you can do nothing. Your lust battle is the daily reminder that you need Him not just for the big things, but for everything. The goal isn't a life without temptation. The goal is a life lived in constant communion with the one who sustains you through it. If removing your lust would cause you to drift from God, He will leave it there to keep you close. Your prayer isn't unanswered. It's being answered with something better than what you requested. Not removal, but His presence. And His presence in the battle is greater than His absence in peace. The truth you need to understand. Every time you pray and lust doesn't disappear, God isn't ignoring you. He's working. He's building authority in you. He's teaching you to fight. He's shaping your character through fire. He's protecting intimacy. He's transforming your heart. He's preparing you for ministry. And He's teaching you that the greatest gift isn't freedom from struggle, it's His presence in the middle of it. Your prayer is working, just not the way you expected. You ask for the battle to end. God is teaching you how to win it. You ask for lust to disappear. God is giving you power over it. You ask for comfort. God is giving you strength. Here's the truth most people miss. The day God removes your lust is not the day you're finally free. You're free the moment you stop letting it define you. You're free when you fall and get back up without drowning in shame. You're free when temptation comes and you choose God anyway. Freedom isn't the absence of lust. It's the presence of Christ in the middle of the fight. And that's what your prayer is building, not a lust-free life, but a Christ-dependent one. And that's infinitely better. What to do now? If you've been praying for God to stop your lust and He hasn't, don't believe the lie that He doesn't care. He's doing something deeper. Stop asking Him to remove the battle. Start asking Him to sustain you through it. Stop begging for instant deliverance. Start thanking Him for a daily grace. Stop measuring freedom by the absence of temptation. Start measuring it by your response to it. The man who never struggles with lust isn't stronger than you. He just hasn't been tested yet. But you're in the fire. And every day you choose God over your flesh, you're becoming the warrior He's been forging. Your prayer isn't failing. Your understanding of prayer was just incomplete. Prayer doesn't stop lust. Prayer sustains you while God transforms you through it. When you finally understand that when you stop resisting the process and start embracing the purpose, everything changes. Not because lust disappears, but because you're no longer fighting for freedom, you're fighting from it. Romans 8:37 says, "You are more than a conqueror, not because you never face battles, but because through all these things, you overcome them." Your lust battle isn't disqualifying you. It's qualifying you for authority, for ministry, for intimacy with God that only comes through desperate dependence. So keep praying, but change what you're asking for. Don't ask God to remove the struggle. Ask Him to be present in it. Don't ask for a life without temptation. Ask for strength to resist it. Don't ask for deliverance. Ask for dependence. Because the man who overcomes isn't the one who never faces lust. It's the one who faces it every day and chooses God anyway. That's you. That's your calling. And that's what God is building through the prayer you think He's ignoring. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to this channel for more faith-based contents that will build your spiritual life. God bless you.